Good morning and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining Teel Technologies Canada and our webinar with our partner, ADF Solutions. My name is Frank Corkery from Teel Technologies Canada, and I'd like to introduce our guests today. Guest with us this morning is Rich Frawley, who's the Director of Training at ADF Solutions. And I'm going to throw it over to Rich now to introduce himself. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions, shoot them through to us in the chat, and we will answer them as we go. Thank you very much, and over to you, Rich.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And good day, everybody. Let me get my screen up here. All right. Everybody should be able to see my screen. Thank you. Thanks for having us. Great to work with Teel Technologies. So first webinar we're doing with you, but we see you all the time, so it's nice to join in this virtual fashion. As you said, I'm Rich Frawley. I'm the Director of Training and kind of the Digital Forensic Specialist here at ADF Solutions. Been here for been here for almost 7 years. But my career started 17 years as a forensic examiner and cybercrime investigator with a local police department here in Connecticut, where I'm broadcasting from. And so there's 23 years in law enforcement, 17 of those as a forensic examiner and investigator. IASIS member since 2003, held many positions within them. Right now, I'm the chairman of the recertification committee. So any of you out there recerting, your stuff comes through me. Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force Investigator. We were actually one of the original satellite initiative departments here. That's where we got our funding. That's how I got my lab started. And with that, I've worked on many cases. We became, like I said, the one of the original ICAC satellites. We weren't the ICAC. We were what's now considered an affiliate, but the satellites got funding at the time. So used that to build our lab and worked a lot of cases since then. So, like I said, retired in 2016, came here for ADF Solutions. They were releasing a new version at the time, and I've been here for that whole time and watched it grow. And some of the things we're going to talk today about is documenting the digital evidence with screenshots and screen recording. What I'm going to do is go through really a lot of why, what, who, all the things you really want to know. And then I'll end up with some little demonstration of how easy it is to do and get what you want. But screenshots are becoming a big deal. Referred to as screenshots, screen captures, screen grabs, and it's really just that image that shows you the contents of a device's display. Lets you capture exactly what you're seeing on your screen and share it with others and reference that later. They're manually created in different ways, including holding a series of buttons on the device. So why is that? I just show you here your iOS methods, right? Depends on what version you have, whether it's iPhone 13 and later, whether you have Face ID, whether you have Touch ID, side buttons, whether you have a home button, but fairly simple to do. It's usually one or two buttons, and you're taking your screen grab. Android, we all know Android's an animal, right? Everyone's a little different. They basically give you the instructions to open the screen that you want to capture. Depending on the phone that you have, press the power, volume down, and then they tell you, I love Android. If that doesn't work, press and hold the power button for a few seconds, then tap screenshot, and if none of those work, then go to your phone manufacturer's support for help. So it kind of leads into what Androids are like, right? And then you could add to that gestures. You could use gestures to it. You could use Hey Google, and not to mention all the different apps that are out there for screen recording and screen capturing. But just think about this, right? This process is here for a reason. It's there for you to grab that moment in time to show what's in front of you, the here and now. So why do I start with this, right? What's a screenshot? How do you do it? Pretty much we've all done it. Because this is how evidence is gathered by frontline investigators or those who are in a hurry and don't have the proper tools with them, right? And I'm sure you've come across this if you haven't resorted to it yourself. I know, at times I did. So that's kind of like why it's easy, right? Taking a screenshot is easy. When you have something here and now in front of you and you need to capture it and you need it for your evidence, we'll go over the reasons why, but screenshots are so simple that you can really put yourself in a bind with it. So what are some of the reasons to take that screenshot? Like I said, one of the main reasons for creating a screen capture is to document what's in front of you in the here and now. You have evidence that is needed to either make a decision or move forward with your investigation. And we go through this for a reason. Mobile providers have added this feature for a reason. Android was late to the game. iOS did it in 2007, Android 2011. But think about pre-mobile devices, computers, gaming systems, even your TV. You're at the bowling alley and you get a great score, right? You wanted to show an accomplishment. You wanted to show someone how to accomplish something. You wanted to prove your point. Screen captures, photos are the best way to do it. This knowledge stuck, right? So now utilizing this technology on a regular basis. So when you encounter an item, a text, a chat, an email, an image that you can't collect for one reason or another, you'll fall back on the tried and true method of screenshots or photographs. It helps you work those cases and you're able to move on. It also opened the opportunity to have screenshots taken and sent to us. So investigators out on the scene, 2 o'clock in the morning at a bar fight, have some witnesses that have some photographs. Sometimes they use the witness's phone or victim's phone to send that to you as an investigator or to you in the lab so you can document it. Really, that's kind of where we get into trouble, and you'll see how as I move on, but that's where we really begin today's webinar. What are some of the reasons we use screenshots in our case? And one of them I mentioned already is that victim witness. You have evidence on a device that they're willing to show and have documented. However, they're not willing to give up that phone or other non-related material in the device for, they're going to save you time. And, if I'm doing this live and I'm sitting in front of you in a classroom and I say, I've got this software in front of me that'll take that stuff off your phone for you, you get willing to give me your phone? Nobody in the room is going to give me their phone. Think about that with a victim and a witness, right? They have it, they're willing to give it to you, but they're not willing to give you everything. They'll say, I'll sit right here and you can take it, but you're not going in the other room with my phone. You're not going to keep it for hours. I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to go get a cup of coffee. So they're not willing to give up the phone. This has to be balanced now in today's world with the need for the victim's rights to privacy, and we'll get into that a little bit more with some changes that have already been made in that front. Time tool hardware limitations. You have some time, but you don't have enough time. You need to document that data now. Intelligence gathering, frontline, exigent circumstances. You know exactly what you need and why you need it. Goes with that Vic Wit. And maybe you're a department that usually sends your devices out to be done, but you need to document this now. And just think about how many times, you think if that phone leaves this room, I may never see it again. Or if that evidence leaves this room, I may never see that again. I won't be able to document what's there. So that's a couple of the reasons why we want to use the screenshot. You document it now, get the physical later if need be, or get a logical later. But we're really talking about upfront and get it. And victim witness. So let's get on to a little bit of that. This is where a lot of the big stuff is coming down the pike. This is where a lot of the need for screenshots comes along. It's a unique situation and one that has differing views among all that are involved in this type of evidence collection, whether it's a prosecutor, whether it's you as an officer or frontline investigator. Right now, there's so many different views on what to do with this. Like I said, you have the victim. They're willing to turn over the evidence that's collected. However, they're really reluctant on how it's done and where it's done. They definitely have the information on the device that is relevant. They also have a whole bunch more of that's not relevant to the case. And most likely that data goes back several years. Like I said before, think about your own phone and what you may have on there. Contacts, conversations, photos, videos, family, kids, you know, and we're not talking about stuff you're not supposed to have. It's just your personal life. Conversations you've had, you know, you don't want to give that up. We all know that a digital device is a window to one's world. And they're very good at not forgetting where you are. So people are reluctant, like, what's on my phone? I don't remember. So it remembers what you asked for, what they searched for, you know, what you said, what was documented, and who you shared it with. So thinking about that, thinking about the witness and their willingness to comply, it brings up a term that's been thrown around for years. It's kind of your it's the compassionate policing, right? It's characterized by willingness to purposely assist others on an emotional level and to selflessly put the needs of others before yourself without expecting reciprocity. It's something we're taught in life, as well as the academies when we took this job. It's something, you know, we all know, we all like to think we're really good at it. So it's one of those buzzwords. Don't take offense to it, but that's where we're coming with phones now. It's that compassionate policing. You have a victim witness. You can now use it as an investigative tool. Victim witness is sitting in front of you, reluctant to give you the phone. You can say, hey, sit here right next to me. We're going to put the phone between us. We're going to connect it. You're going to scroll to the screen that we need to screenshot. I'm going to click the button. And how comfortable are they going to feel with that? Probably get a lot more out of them. You'll probably get a lot more working towards that. And it works right into your wheelhouse as far as talking to people. But we got to listen to the noise that's being made. Collecting a device in its entirety is really not going to be an option anymore with some types of cases. More and more privacy issues are being scrutinized, and there's circumstances where we can hand the phone back. It's a win-win for law enforcement and the Vic Whip. Think about all the devices that get caught up on search warrants, that didn't contain anything. And the red tape it takes to get rid of those, not rid of, but to get them released back to the owner. You're talking kids, you're talking siblings, spouses, people that had nothing to do with the crime. So the days of taking everything and sorting it out later are really coming to an end. A device really is a person's lifeline, and no one knows a phone number anymore, right? I do. I can remember my first phone number, but since we've gotten cell phones, I don't know my kid's cell phone number. I know he's in my phone as a contact. So you got to remember that as well. In forensic labs, right? I was used to collecting the data and analyzing it, especially mobile data, collecting everything, whether or not it's needed at all. Analyzing everything, and with victims and witnesses, they're turning it over to you in good faith and not realizing it eventually falls victim to discovery. Right? So the discovery process is, we're the criminal defense attorney, and they get copies of everything that's there. So if we're talking about a 2-week window, where this case happened, 48-hour window, and we're turning over 7 years of stuff. What's the defense going to look at? 7 years worth of stuff, right? It becomes more of a moral compass than it does, is this evidence right or wrong? So the debate out there now with victim witness is a complete forensic acquisition of the device the right way to go? Because it can wreak havoc. Now add to this, all this stuff gets out there. Forensic examiner is doing his due diligence, creating physical acquisitions with a lot more data. This is now, the victim is going to be discredited more than it's going to work for them when they turn over their phones. So we got to look at that as what do I do here? Do I just collect what's needed, document what I have in the here and now in front of me, and then we worry about all that other later? But we all know our cases. We know when we can do that, when it's become an issue, but it becomes a conversation at least before we have to put victims. Because the more that happens, like I said, the more we're going to start losing those. Every case is different. Each case deserves to be looked at with the merits of the case. I am not here saying deep dives and physicals don't need to be done. Not where I'm coming from at all. Absolutely they do. I was a forensic examiner for years. I've done it. But there are times logicals or screenshots you can get away with. Attaining digital, what's being set out in the industry. So we're always looking to find out what the latest trends are. I always do. I'm looking at a case, looking at something's coming up. I tend to look at the internet. So does your defense attorneys. So do jury pools, right? They're reading everything that's out there. So one of the first ones out there is obtaining data from digital devices. New guidance released by the College of Policing in the UK. The authorized professional practice on the extraction of material from digital devices. It really provides clear guidance for forces in England and Wales to ensure that the way police obtain material from digital devices complies with legislation and balances people's right to privacy against the absolute right of all individuals to a fair trial. There's 10 different principles they have to follow now with victim witness phones. The first is the extracted material must be strictly necessary and avoid unnecessary intrusion. So right there, you're looking at, okay, I've got to limit down to only what's relevant, and that's all I can take. Kind of hard in today's world. You have to provision the information to the device user. So whatever you take off their phone, they get a copy of. There's an agreement between you and the device user, or the police and the device user. They have to understand their right to refuse. It's kind of that consent that we're all used to having people sign. Ensuring that the material extracted is adequate, relevant, and not excessive for the purpose for which it was acquired. Considering safeguarding implications, obligations to update the device user and review and correctly manage material obtained during an investigation, so they need to know what's going on with it. Sharing of information back and forth, recording your actions, and the implementation of this. So there's 10 different principles they got to follow. So it basically comes down to, you can only get off that phone what is relevant, what they're going to give you, and you need a way to document it. That's where kind of the screenshots come in, and making sure you do it the right way. There's articles out there, police threatened with fines for unlawfully seizing rape victims' personal information. That comes down to, there was more information on the phone than what they were, than what was supposed to be used for evidence. So now they're saying they're traumatizing victims. But the biggest things out there are authentication, right? The challenges are to things that we've written. They're challenges to our policies that are out there. Authentication, email communication, text communications, and how these screenshots were obtained. So the challenges come down to digital evidence integrity if you're going to use a screenshot. And it comes down to digital evidence, I have it written out here. Digital evidence by its very nature is fragile. It can be altered, damaged, or destroyed by improper handling or examination. The examination is best conducted on a copy of the original evidence. I feel like the FedEx guy from years ago. The original evidence should be acquired in a manner that protects and preserves the integrity of the evidence. That's taken right out of the U.S. Department of Justice Special Report, Forensic Examination of Digital Evidence, a Guide for Law Enforcement. So when you use a screenshot, they're going to come back to this, right? Hey, did you do all this with that screenshot? Is this all the original evidence, right? So you just got to be prepared for it, because this is what they're going to come at you with. Same thing here, same guide. They're going to come back and say, when dealing with digital evidence, the following procedural principles should be applied. Secure and collect digital evidence should not affect the integrity of that evidence. Persons conducting should be trained. And activity relating to the seizure, examination, storage, or transfer of digital evidence should be documented, preserved, and available for review. We all do this. This is all good as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to use a tool to take screenshots or screen recordings, you're going to have everything you need, and you're going to fall within these guidelines. But this is being set out there, and let me go back to the beginning. Screenshot. Then you send it off to somebody, or you use your phone to take a picture of their phone, or, these are where these challenges are coming from. So we need to make sure we get away from that and start using the right procedures, which we do, but there's still some. I did a lot of work for departments that didn't have anybody. They had to send it to another department. So getting those departments, right, the people you're doing work for, a tool that can do this for them, so they don't have to resort to those methods, and then the challenges will be fine. And the biggest is chain of custody. If you're using another phone, or somebody's sending you a screenshot, or, I remember even you'd have somebody come in with printouts of their emails and stuff and say, here, and now you got to take them and tag them, and you may not have the original evidence, but it all comes down to chain of custody. Where was this? Who took it? Where was it taken? How was it taken? How do I know it's, authentic? So you need to handle it. You need to have that chain, that you knew where that evidence was from point A to point Z. And here you go, Garrett Discovery, forensic expert, well known. Not saying anything bad, but challenges to screenshots. Anybody can fake email. So if you're going to use a screenshot, or somebody's going to send you an email, right? How do you know that it hasn't been faked? How do you know all this without analyzing the metadata on there? And we can get through this. Again, that comes down to somebody printing out an email and bringing it to you. Even your screenshot, you're not going to get headers off of an iPhone. You're not going to get a lot of that stuff off of some of the apps that are on a phone. It's just not there for you to get or to document. But there's ways around that. We're going to talk about that. So just if you're aware of what they're saying out there and aware of the arguments that are going to come at you, you'll be able to handle it. And like I said, with the email headers, a little too fast there. What's being challenged? So again, date and time created. Stuff that you're getting from the headers, stuff that you're getting from the metadata emails. Date and time sent, the IP address or the sending servers and relayers. You got that whole list that you go through and you determine where that email originated and where it ended up. You're really not going to get that on some of the apps that you have. Whether or not it was spoofed, which program created the email. good investigation, good report, good screenshots will get you that most of the time, and there are other ways we can follow up with this as well. Challenges to pictures, right? Image authentication. They want to make sure that the screenshot you're using as evidence is exactly what was on that device. If somebody else took it for you, if somebody else sent it to you, it goes back to that chain of custody. Has it been altered? Has it been morphed? Have they created this image? Have they changed something in there? Did they add text to this? Did they remove text from this? The technology's there. You can make stuff look really good. There's ways to also tell if that's been done. But these are the challenges that are going to come at you when you start using documenting this way. Court case, and I bring this one up because this is kind of, UK's already made some changes. This is one in the US out of Massachusetts, Chillicothe and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And a lot of them have changed up there now to using screenshots because of this case. And this case deals with screenshots, but not in the way we're going to learn how to use them today. So the screenshots were used, and there were no backups of devices used in this case. Here's the case, short and sweet. College dorm room. Chillicothe and a few of his buddies are in their dorm. The victim comes home kind of blackout drunk and goes to what she believes is her dorm. However, it is one floor below, right door, wrong floor, and ends up in Ryder Chillicothe's room. Comes in, walks into where the bed is, and goes to blackout sleep. From there, Chillicothe gets a little creepy. The other two people leave. They don't want any part of it. Chillicothe commits his crime. They did try to get her out of the room prior, and they couldn't. They couldn't find anybody to come pick her up. They didn't know where she belonged. The two guys left, let her sleep it off. Like I said, Chillicothe committed his crime. She wakes up, realizes she's not where she was supposed to be. She realizes that something happened, starts making phone calls. There were a lot of missed phone calls on her device from her sister and other people trying to contact her in this blackout period. So a complaint gets made that day. Evidence gets used, screenshots of the call logs, screenshots of some emails, screenshots of this is where I was before, this is what was after, this is the blank period. No backups were made of the phone. Discovery asked for abundance of records out of the scope of the incident. And they asked for username and logins for all her social media. They asked for physicals of the phone. They asked for a whole bunch of different records. We're talking about a 24 to 48 hour period. They were looking for 2 weeks worth of data among, plus what they were going to get in the physical. So ultimately everything gets denied. And these cases specifically mention fishing expeditions and privacy concerns. That they weren't going to give into this happened in 24 to 48 hours. We're not giving you 2 weeks. Even though as this case moved on, phones were changed, backups were never made, screenshots weren't done with a tool, they were sent to and copied off. But they were accepted. Good investigation, good documentation, good report. Screenshots got used, screenshots got accepted. Ultimately, all the other stuff is denied. Case comes to a successful conclusion. So with that comes the, hey, screenshots work. We can now start documenting within that period and not have to document years or save years worth of data to use 24 hours worth of data. Again, every case has its own merits. You're the investigator. You understand. So again, that was a case that proved, hey, screenshots are going to work. The courts are starting to recognize you're not going on fishing expeditions. There are privacy concerns. So when you are out there reading, or when somebody else is out there reading these blogs and newses, and there's articles denouncing screenshots, look at the source, right? Where did this come from? Who wrote this article, and what is it really about? Is it about a screenshot that was taken and sent to? Did somebody use another phone and send it? Did we lose chain of custody? Is that what I did? If you're going to start doing it with a tool and getting it the right way, those articles aren't going to matter to you, and you can quickly tell your legal authorities, hey, that article's all about that. We did it a different way. Read the article, look at the source. Again, why was it written? Who wrote it? Is this a consultant for a company or a partner with a company that's writing an article to make them look better and make another tool or whatever look bad, right? What's the source? What's the reason behind the article? You'll find that a lot. There's always a reason, especially when it comes down to like marketing and selling, and look at that. Look at the source. And screenshots are not all created equals. What I'm trying to get the point across here today, they were accepted in Chillicothe, but there's a better way to do it. And since they are being accepted and the courts are realizing that's a good way of doing it, let's tighten it up a little bit. So utilizing them. Obviously, the best or the most obvious reason is to capture what's on the screen, right? What's on that screen that I need to capture? Well, it could be text messages, images, right? Settings. You want to show the settings that the user had, their internet history, probation, parole, sex offender management, right? You want to go in and document where they were within some apps. User accounts, how many user accounts are on here? What are their names? Contacts. I don't know how many times I was asked or brought a phone and said, hey, I just need the call logs off of this. This phone will never get used in evidence. Just get me the call logs off of this. I said, okay, you just got to leave it. It's going to take a little while. I got to make an image of it, but we all know the whole thing. If it's in that case, undercover, drug, marshals, tracking, and they're not going to use this. They just want this screenshot. Boom, 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 done in a couple of minutes, and they're off. Photo vaults, document step by step getting into that vault. Here's the app. Here's the vault. Here's the password to get in. Here are the folders in here. Here are the ones that are password protected. Here are the settings showing that they're protected. Here's the image that they used for their folder cover. It really helps you document this. Now think about how many times you've done a report that you've had to explain something that's on a piece of paper that doesn't really come across well, right? You've had to learn to take all this technical data that's in textual content and relate it in layman's terms to a jury or to a prosecutor or to your boss or whoever you need to explain this to. And it's really hard because they're trying to picture what it looks like on the phone. Here, you can screenshot your way right through and tell a story on what the user sees. So if you have that ability and you're doing it that way, just taking a couple of more steps instead of here's the text message on the desktop or on the home screen. Here's what it looks like when you open it. Here's the chats before and after. This was the last chat, or this was, they had 10 chats after. Just a lot of different things you can do with screenshots. The biggest part is you want to make it stick. Like I just said, text messaging, right? Take the screenshot of the app icon on the home screen. The user has it installed. It's on the home screen. It's on their main screen. It's not in a folder. They just click here. It's on their frequently used bar. Screenshot the conversation list. Show where it lies. You know, that might have some meaning to the case. The individual text message that you're on. The date and the time. So most phones, you've all looked at them. I probably don't need to explain this, but when you start a text conversation, you have the header, right? Wednesday, whatever date, at this time, this text message, this text conversation started, or this part of it. And then you have each message underneath. It goes back and forth. You have a bubble view. But each bubble doesn't have a time associated with it that you can see on the screenshot. But on iPhones, at least, if you swipe left and hold your finger there, all the dates and times come out, or the times come out. And if you do that, take a screenshot. Now you can show how that conversation happened. Was there a 5-minute pause, a 10-minute pause? Was it going right back and forth? Again, requires screen manipulation to do that. And comments, if you're going to use screenshots, make sure you can take comments or save comments. Because we all been there. I know I've worked on a case and I'll work for hours on something and dig into something and get called away. And then you come back and you lost your train of thought and you're like, well, how the hell did I get here? Where was I? What was my train of thought? So as you're taking screenshots, make a comment about what that screenshot is telling you. Why did you take it? I took this screenshot because there's a picture on the back wall that shows the victim. I took this picture because this is the smoking gun and this is the time that it was. I'm showing all the times because there was a 15-minute pause in between message A and message B that counteracts their story. So comment. 3 years from now, you're not going to remember. 2 years from now, it comes up in court. You're going to be like, I don't know why I put that. And you'll guess. But if you have your comments, it'll tell the story. Document the device. Your tool should do that for you. Document the date and time of any screenshots you've taken. That should automatically get done. Integrity after the screenshot. Chain of custody. This is the date and time I took the screenshot. Here is a hash. Here's that digital fingerprint of that. It has not been manipulated since the day we took it. And again, allow for comments. Ways to back your evidence in the absence of an acquisition. Going back to emails, right? Or text messages. So if you don't have that acquisition, you're not going to have that acquisition, and you want to back up some of this stuff, it's the good old-fashioned legal subpoenas, search warrants, whatever your legal cause is. Back it up with your billing records, right? Text transfer, data transfers, calls back and forth. Search warrants for your email account so you can get the actual emails that you didn't have on the device. Subpoenas for the account, for the app, to show that this is the person that owned it. You have it on their phone, but these are simple ways to back up your evidence. And I say simple just because I used to be able to write these things in my sleep, and it was a no-brainer to come in, spend an hour or two writing subpoenas and search warrants and send them all out, and then I just have the stuff to back up my cases. So this is what it would look like. What I want to do for you here is show it to you. Get my license back. And let me back up here. So you should all be able to see Digital Evidence Investigator Pro. This is the tool, Investigate Mobile Devices. It's a logical tool only. You have to have access to the device in order for anything here to work. There is no, it's logical only. You have to have access. There's no rooting, no jailbreaking, no security measures are being broken. You connect the phone. If the tool sees it, which it sees 99.9% of the stuff that you connect to it, that point 1% is either new items or because the driver was screwed up, or it's a cheap knockoff and the driver's not working. If you have access to it, the computer can see it, the tool will see it, and you'll be able to use it. Screen recordings and screenshots. You go in here. If you're never connected it before, if you've never connected an Android before, it's your first time ever holding an animal like that in your hand, and you need to connect it to your computer, there is a wizard here that will walk you through the process. It will tell you where to put your fingers on the screen and what to punch and what to do. Tap this 7 times to become a developer, and then go here to look at the developer menu, turn on debugging, walks you through that whole process. This one's already been connected. There we go. So I have, shows me here the device that's connected, where I'm going to save it to, the acquisition name, screenshot of whatever you want to name it. I'm just going to hit proceed here. It's going to bring me into my screenshot recording area. This is a brand new version that you're getting to see here today. It's coming out in 2 weeks. We have screenshots. You'd be able to do all that. What you are seeing that's new on this screen is the mirroring, and there's some recording down here. I'm gonna show you how this works. And once, let me just come back here to put a little sense into some things that are done. Screenshots look like that. You can document chats and photos. I'm going to walk you through that. This is the photo vault, and here's some chats with the times going through. There we go. So let me go back to here. So what you are seeing on the left side of this screen is the date and time. So it's 1:44, Wednesday, October 19th, and it's currently 54 degrees where I sit. You were looking at the screen of my Pixel that's connected. If I wanted to document this down below, take a screenshot. Right next to it, you see I now have a screenshot of that device. I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to put this in a group called home screens, right? And here's comment, home screens user sees, right? You always want to make comments. You always want to spell it right. And I just take that screenshot. From here, screen mirroring, I can swipe over here. I don't need to touch the phone. If I have a touch screen, I can do that here and just take screenshot, right? I can swipe up to get my library, take my screenshot, make sure I scroll down, get it all, take my screenshot. Right, so now I've got 4 screenshots there. I can see everything that's on here. I got my inventory. Let's say my victim, my witness, or whatever I need to document here is using Kik. I'm going to open the Kik app. And that's going to open here. I'm going to go to the chat. So there's the chats that are available. Take a screenshot of that. Lex is the one that I'm interested in. Whoop, we got an ad. There we go. 3 apps. So I go up to the top. Set is with Lex Luthor. It says, hey, John, what's up? It's Lex. Thanks for the dog pics. If dog pics were contraband, I've got my picture there. Let me just back out of that for a second. Take that screenshot. Click on the picture. Take that screenshot. And I can also, if I close out of there, I'm just going to hold my finger down on that screen, and then I get the exact date and time that was sent. So just documenting my evidence. I didn't fill in comments here, but I could fill in why I took a screenshot of each one of those. Now I know there's a whole bunch of other chats on here, but that was the smoking gun. I can hit my scroll and now it's going to scroll through and take all the chats involved with Lex. So if I have the ability to go outside of a certain scope, or if this is all within that scope, I can scroll it. If not, I do them individually. What I also want to show you here is recording. So when you start with a phone, let's say it's open here. All right. Okay, there we go. We'll just say we're starting over. I'm going to record my session instead of screenshotting everything. I hit the record button. It starts recording everything I'm doing on the screen. Again, I can scroll through. I can get my library. I can close that back out. I can open Kik. And I'm doing this on the phone here, sitting next to me. I go to my chat area. I pick Lex. I come down here or go back to the top, and I can slowly scroll through. But here's where it really comes in handy. Hey, there's a video here. So now I'm also capturing the video here. So, Snapchats and things like that you come across, now I can record that. And I'm also recording my whole session. So they see exactly what's going on with the phone, what you're doing. There's no secrets. You stop your recording gets saved, and then you can play that later. You can tell a story. Like I said, you can go into vaults. You can do all sorts of things. Think about how you could manipulate the view you're in to show more information. If you're able to show metadata, like on an iPhone, go to the picture, swipe up, you'll get the metadata. You might even get a picture of the location the picture was taken. Anything you can do to document it. When you're done, if it's just the documentation you want, you finish it. And I'm going to show you what that looks like, but you can also acquire it. So let's say I do want a logical. I know Kik isn't going to get caught up in my logical. I just now screenshotted everything I need from Kik or Chrome history or things that aren't going to get caught in the logical. Then I acquire it and do my logical scan. Those screenshots are now part of that whole acquisition. You can finish it and then they get saved and you can process them later. So I say, what's processing? So here's this Android. There's not a lot on it. I scanned it. I have my screen recordings and screenshots here. There's the home screens and the libraries. There's Kik. There's a recording that we did, so I can come in here and play that recording of what was going on. You can see here, manipulate. What I wanted to show you here as well is when you do bring these into cases, remember the text that said, "Hey, John, what's up?" I forgot where I saved that to. So if I just now type in John, hit my button, it now brings up that screenshot. It's highlighted here for me. Here's the preview. "Hey, John, what's up? It's Lex. Thanks for the dog pics." So what we do when we bring these into the case, we pull out the textual content, run it through optical character recognition, OCR, pull out the text. It's now searchable. There's the preview, and there's the chain of custody. There's your date and time. There's your hash value, and you can start bookmarking and reporting on all of this. So I am coming down to the end of the time. Want to see if there are maybe any questions that we have. I appreciate your time today. Again, let me get rid of this and go through my screenshots. And thank you. Again, Rich Frawley, our Frawley, ADFSolutions.com. You can always give us a ring. If you're looking to try it out, you can go through Teel Tech. You can come to us. Any questions, I'm always available. with that, Frank, you still with me?
I am. Thank you very much, Rich. Really appreciate it. And I just wanted to let all the members know, the attendees, that we will be putting a copy of the presentation onto the Teel Tech YouTube channel. It's also going to be available through ADF as well. And there'll be an email blast going out shortly, giving you a link to ADF and the opportunity to grab a free trial of ADF. So if there are no further questions, I thank everybody for attending, and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.